Nobody expected to see the Kansas City Chiefs do this in the Super Bowl, so we're gonna be going through that and 5 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Kansas City Chiefs news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel hitting that red button down below. The first story is what the Kansas City Chiefs did to win the Super Bowl. The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions for a second time in 4 years after a hobbled Patrick Mahomes marshaled a game-winning drive to seal a 38-35 comeback win over a Philadelphia Eagles team who had outplayed them for much of the game. Mahomes, who entered his third Super Bowl in 4 seasons nursing a sprained right ankle and appeared to re-aggravate the injury at the end of the first half with the Chiefs at their lowest point, completed 21 of 27 passes for 182 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions, saving his best for the biggest moments as the Chiefs roared back from a 24-14 deficit at halftime. The two-time NFL Most Valuable Player scrambled 26 yards on the final drive, gimpy leg and all, before Harrison Butker kicked a 27-yard field goal with 8 seconds left to win the game, making Mahomes the first player to win the Super Bowl in the same season he was named MVP after 9 straight players before him lost. In doing so, the 28-year-old overcame a magnificent Jalen Hurts, the young Philadelphia signal caller who threw for 304 yards, ran for 3 touchdowns, and set a Super Bowl record with 70 yards rushing in the first Super Bowl matchup featuring 2 black starting quarterbacks. The heart-stopping affair lived up to its advanced billing beneath an open retractable roof and pristine 70 Fahrenheit conditions. The Chiefs won the toss and deferred, as they have all but once all year, placing the ball in Hurts' hands to start. The 24-year-old promptly led an 11-play, 75-yard touchdown drive, plunging into the end zone on 4th down. It marked the first time in a quarter-century that a team received the opening kickoff in the Super Bowl and drove it down the field for a touchdown. The vaunted Philadelphia offensive line, all 5 of whom were named to the Pro Bowl, had made an emphatic opening statement in the Battle of the Trenches and sent the decidedly pro-Philadelphia crowd into bedlam. Then, in a game pitched as the best roster v. the best player, it was Mahomes' turn. He quickly marched Kansas City downfield before finding Travis Kelce on a gorgeous fade route for an 18-yard touchdown. It was the sort of scripted opening drive that Chiefs coach Andy Reid has made his hallmark since entering the head coaching ranks with, of all teams, Philadelphia back in 1999. Then, on the first play of the second quarter, Hurts took his shot downfield and connected on a 45-yard touchdown to Brown. The runner-up in MVP balloting was off to a promising start in his first Super Bowl, completing 8 of his first 10 passes for 116 yards with no interceptions and a pair of touchdowns, 1 on the ground and 1 through the air. The Eagles soon got the ball back after a Chiefs drive stalled, and that's when disaster struck. Hurts made a stunning non-contact fumble while under duress, allowing Kansas City linebacker Nick Bolton to scoop the ball up and rumble 36 yards for the game-tying score. It was the sort of moment where Super Bowls are won and lost, and it would prove costly. Of the 7 quarterbacks who had started a Super Bowl before their 25th birthday entering Sunday's game, only 2 had played even remotely well: Tom Brady in the 2001 season and Mahomes in 2018. But if there were any concern that Hurts would crumble after his miscue, he immediately put it to rest on the ensuing drive. He ran 14 yards on the first play from scrimmage, converted a 3rd down with another run up the gut into Kansas City territory before capping a 12-yard, 75-yard march with a 4-yard touchdown run off the left tackle, putting the Eagles back in front at 21-14 amid chants of MVP. MVP from the Philadelphia faithful. The Eagles would score once more before halftime through a 35-yard field goal from Jake Elliott, opening a 10-point lead in a half where they controlled the ball for nearly 22 minutes. But the bigger issue for the Chiefs was Mahomes, who limped off the field after a tackle by T.J. Edwards re-aggravated the high ankle sprain he suffered in the divisional round. Any promise of a stress-free finish for the Eagles were quickly doused by Mahomes, who led the Chiefs on a long scoring drive capped by a 1-yard Isaiah Pacheco touchdown run, closing the deficit to 24-21. The Eagles avoided a catastrophe moments later when Boston Scott's apparent fumble was returned for a touchdown, again by the opportunistic Bolton, only to be overturned by replay. The Eagles marched methodically downfield from there, going 60 yards on 17 plays, including a highlight read catch by Dallas Goedert along the Philadelphia sideline, before settling for another Elliott field goal and a 27-21 lead in the dying minutes of the third quarter. That's when Mahomes led a 9-play, 75-yard drive, punctuated by a 4-yard touchdown pass to a wide-open Kadarius Toney, sprung free as the Chiefs used Kelce as a decoy. For the first time in Philadelphia's marauding postseason run, in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, they found themselves behind. And that's where it all went pear-shaped. Hurts completed a pair of short passes but was hurried from the pocket by Carlos Dunlap on the next play, forcing a 3-and-out. Then Toney returned Aaron Sipas's second punt of the game around the field and down the Philadelphia sideline, a 65-yard return that placed the Chiefs within 5 yards of the end zone, the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. 2 plays later, the Chiefs had scored again, extending their lead to 35-27 after the extra point. The second story is there is one free agent who can help fill Chiefs' biggest offseason need. Led by Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs finished the 2022 campaign as Super Bowl champions. Once again, they look to be the most dominant team in the NFL. But instead of being a roster full of elite talent on offense, this unit found success through their young playmakers. Outside of Travis Kelce, this offense leaned on players looking to make their mark on the NFL. Now as they gain even more experience, they will only get better. But this team could still look to add playmakers. Heading into the offseason, the Chiefs could lose 2 of their best options through the air in free agency. Both Juju Smith-Schuster and Mecole Hardman put together solid campaigns in 2022 and could look to earn a payday on the open market. If they do in fact leave, Kadarius Toney would likely be pushed to the lead spot at wide receiver. With his injury history and a lack of depth at the position, addressing pass catchers in free agency could be key. With a free agent class full of talented pass catchers, the Chiefs could add a reliable option on an affordable deal. But when looking at the Chiefs' offense, there is one wide receiver that could be the best fit. During his 4 seasons with the New York Giants, wide receiver Darius Slayton has developed into one of the NFL's most underrated pass catchers. Over 59 regular season games, he has recorded 170 receptions for 2,554 receiving yards and 15 touchdowns. While the former 4th-round pick has at times struggled with drops, he has remained consistent. He has recorded at least 700 receiving yards in each of his 3 seasons, while also staying relatively healthy in each campaign. In fact, Slayton has never played less than 13 games in a season up to this point. Darius Slayton has consistently found success with his speed. Through the burst that he displays, he can win anywhere on the field. The third story is DL Charles Omnihu to sign 2-year, $16 million deal with Chiefs. Defensive lineman Charles Omnihu is signing a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, a source told ESPN's Adam Schefter. The San Francisco 49ers acquired Omnihu from the Houston Texans in 2021 in exchange for a 2023 6th-round pick. He quickly became a prominent member of the Niners' defensive line rotation, playing on the edge and inside. The fourth story is can Chiefs find long-term solution at left tackle in 2023 NFL Draft? One of the reasons that the Kansas City Chiefs reportedly decided against using the franchise tag on LT Orlando Brown Jr. was because they wanted to find a long-term solution at the position. Placing the tag on Brown Jr. opened the possibility that the team would be tied to him for only 1 year longer and at a guaranteed salary of over $20 million. Sure, they could rescind the tag, but that would leave them further away from a long-term solution. A recent report from NFL Network's James Palmer suggests that the Chiefs would be very comfortable searching for that long-term solution in the 2023 NFL Draft. We're looking at that left tackle spot. Palmer said, possibly Orlando comes back, but you saw what happened with them not tagging him. What they're really looking to do is fix that left tackle spot long-term this offseason before 2023. Now, they have a couple of options they can go about it. They can find a veteran stopgap kind of player, say Donovan Smith, who was just released in Tampa Bay, and they could go and draft a left tackle and have him sit for a year and then be the future of the franchise, but he's on the roster this year. They could draft a right tackle. Those are some available at the end of that first round. You could have that guy play right tackle for a season, then slide over and play left tackle. While some solutions don't have a rookie starting right away, Palmer isn't ruling out the possibility of Kansas City starting a rookie immediately on the left side. The team has a lot of confidence in rookies after the past 2 seasons, but they also feel their starting left guard could help out a young player. The fifth story is Kansas City Chiefs signing Jawan Taylor to 4-year, $80 million contract. The defending Super Bowl champions are addressing a need with a surprising decision. Former Jacksonville Jaguars Jawan Taylor is signing a 4-year, $80 million deal with the Kansas City Chiefs, NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport reported. Per a source, Taylor will receive $60 million in guaranteed money in his new contract. Per Rappaport, Taylor's signing raises a few eyebrows regarding compensation, past performance, and fit with his new team. Taylor joined the Jaguars as a second-round pick out of Florida in 2019 and has since manned the right tackle position at a respectable, but far from spectacular, level that would warrant top 5 money at either tackle position. Faced with an obvious need and equipped with a coach in Andy Reid who has been able to maximize offensive line talent in the past, Kansas City ignored these concerns, adding Taylor to an offensive line that has seen plenty of changes in recent years, but has continued to perform at a high level. Kansas City engaged left tackle Orlando Brown Jr., who was franchise tagged in 2022 in contract negotiations over the last year, but failed to make considerable progress and declined to tag him for a second straight year. As the start of the new league year grew closer, the chances of the two sides striking a deal became increasingly unlikely. The Chiefs' agreement with Taylor all but guarantees Brown will not be in Kansas City in 2023.